feel to be back in Champaign and be with all these guys again?
Well, I come back to Champaign off and on, and doing the network and that. But just to be back with them, it's really exciting, to be honest. And you talk to them off and on, you communicate with them, but to be back and see them face to face, and just some of the memories. We only been together here about a half hour, and you already heard some stories and got people laughing, and it was a special team. Actually, both years winning 2 Big Ten championships in a row. Getting to the Final Four, almost perfection. This was a special group, and not only Illini history, but NCAA history. It's one of the best teams. I always hear one of the best teams there, if not the best team, that didn't win a national championship.
How crazy was that 2005 atmosphere? Didn't a bunch of fans always want to see you guys? Were you guys like rock stars, pretty much?
I tell people, and it's hard for people to understand what we went through, the scrutiny that we had because we were undefeated. When you look at it, after we were 3-3 in 04 in the Big Ten, we then went 51-4, and I don't know if anyone has done that. You look it up, and it's just amazing what they did, and they just took the state of Illinois. Everyone loved them. We went in elevators in hotels that were for the service people. We had to go underground in elevators. Movies, we tried to sneak them in. They got a standing ovation at Northwestern in a movie theater. It's just, and then obviously the ride back from Chicago when we beat Arizona. People on the interstate, on the bridges, and it's such a memorable time and just amazing. I know those guys always appreciate that.
We have a lot of coaches that came from that team. Is there anything about that team?
Well, it's really cool, and I've thought about it a lot. D always said I made him a basketball junkie, and so it makes me feel good that they as a coach, as a dad, you want your kids to be successful, and they kind of took a part of that being in coaching, and they've done well. I always said Darren probably should have been a coach. He said I worked too hard, and he didn't want to be a coach and do what I had to do. And obviously he made a little money, so he had to worry about it and have all that stress. But I think James, he's kind of dinked with it a little bit. He works guys out. So, it's a group that understood the game of basketball. Not only were they talented, they played together, but they understood the game. And I think that's what really made them special. And, one of the stats I always looked at was that assist turnover. No one had ever, assist field goals. No one really even talked about that before. And we would have 80% of our field goals came off of assists. And it was just amazing. And people, national networks started talking about that. And the balance of these guys, Darren's the third pick in the draft and is the third leading scorer on the team. So, that kind of just shows you what they understood. We got together with my Sweet 16 team at SIU, and that group had 8 or 9 guys that coached, and a lot of them are college coaches. So I think that had something to do with it, the success, when they love the game and they care about it and they learn it.
Bruce, all your good years of coaching since, have you ever been able to replicate or match what you experienced that year? Has it ever been so fun?
No, to be honest. I don't know if anyone would. I just remember the last conversation with my mom before she passed, before the Big Ten tournament. She said, this is like a fairy tale. And it was. What we went through, and we had people were waiting outside after practice with balls. Anywhere you went, they couldn't go to restaurants. It was just incredible, and their success too. This is two plays from perfection, and at that time it was 37 wins was the most in the history of the NCAA. They just, and I said the run 51-4. I don't know if anyone's ever combined them over 2 years, but that's pretty impressive like that, what they did. And they had their own stories. Obviously D was the face of the program, the national name. Roger had his little story. Darren had a story. Each guy had kind of a story, and I think that made them special.
You were just a boy in his late 40s. Can you reach back now and touch that feeling, that memory? Is it that close?
Yes, it is. You think about it. Things happen. I'm in St. Louis now part-time, helping with one of our daughters, and I see people, and they'll like, hey, Coach, I was there, and I was in the top row of the dome and things like that. But you just things that remind you of it. Leaving practice that day from the dome, I sent the players back, and I had people chasing me, and it was and I always thought I was dreaming. But somebody I saw a few years ago said, "Coach, I was one of the ones that was chasing you down the street trying to get back to the hotel." So, those are just such unique experiences that we all did, and the bonding, and even when we lost and came back here and there was 25,000 people. I mean, it's just hard to explain unless you were part of it. It was just amazing.
I have to ask you, it's an obnoxious question, but if Illinois and North Carolina had played a best of 7, what would have happened?
I think we were the better team, and I always wish James wouldn't have had all the foul trouble. Obviously, a lot of people talk about the officials, and I try not to complain about them, but I will tell this story. I got thousands of letters and emails and all that, and I opened up a big envelope, and there was a picture of a toilet. And I just what the heck is this? And then I said, I got to read this letter. So I read the letter, and the letter said, she said, look at the toilet closer. There is a gold plaque with the names of the 3 officials on the toilet. And so she said, every time I go to take you know what? She said, I think of those 3 officials, and I will always do that. So that was hard, but we were so good. But then the Arizona game obviously could have went the other way too, and so that's just kind of basketball. But you always wish you would have had a chance to win it. Obviously, that would have made it extra special.
Coach, it doesn't look,
Coach, we'll get D over here.
It doesn't look like the relationship. Watching you guys, it doesn't look like those have faded one bit. Is that
No,
true?
I mean it's a unique bond, and for the most part, it's right when they get out, you stay in touch with them for a lot. And obviously, I was at Illinois. That makes it easier. You leave the school, it makes it a little tougher. But we still stay in contact, and we still have the stories. And when they need help, we're trying to help them when we can. And I know they're really excited to be back, and just kind of enjoy each other and tell all the stories. And now most of them have families, and so even that interaction is even more special.
What is the key to all those assist and turnovers, making the extra pass? How do you coach that? What is the philosophy of Weber ball?
It was way back. We would play without the dribble, and I know in this day and age with the shot clock and no 5-second call on defense, it's so different. But we'd play without the dribble, move the basketball. If you go back, one of my memorable possessions is the Northwestern game. We were playing here at Lead Sports Center. And it was, I'm going to say 16, 17 passes in a basket.
I remember that.
And you see, and I mean, how many times do passes lead off a sports center? Usually it's dunks and all that. So, but I think they took pride in it and passing. And when your best players and your leaders don't mind getting an assist and are proud of it, I think it makes it a lot easier on the coach. I always think of the Louisville game in St. Louis. And if you look back, Darren didn't score many points, but he had 8-9 assists. He guarded the best player. And when we had to go to the table with, the CBS crew, they wanted Darren. Roger had his best game of his career. He had a good game, but Darren dominated the game with, by how he played, and obviously the success later on also. Anything else?
Are you done coaching?
Oh, probably. I coach kindergartners, first grade, the grandkids. I help with practice. I love it. Baseball, basketball, soccer even the other night. So, I miss it, to be honest. Everyone said you probably don't miss the, dealing with all the NIL and stuff. And, the only way I would coach is if it was a good place where NIL was set and I could get my assistants that I know I depend on. And that's the other thing. The group of assistants here, they've had pretty good success too in their careers, and that was fun also to be with them. And obviously we miss Coach McLean. His wife is here, Robin. He was an integral part of this. So lots of great memories.
Just to be clear, you're coaching grandkids?
Oh yes, I coach the grandkids. I try. I help whenever I can. I'm assistant coach.
I mean